we were just sitting in the pre-recording room talking about prancing ponies and the things you can't see from them, and they're not, and how important they aren't. Julie and Amy have both said the same thing, and I'm sitting here stunned. I'm stunned. What is it, Julie? What was your? We have the Colorado version and the Texas version. Go.
I don't know that mine's Colorado version. If you're worried about like something that someone, like someone will notice some kind of flaw or whatever, if it can't be spotted from a prancing pony, then it's not worth your worry.
And then Amy's version
was from my grandfather, who said, if you can't see it from the back of a galloping horse, it doesn't matter.
And it sounds like one's the ladies' version and one's the man version, right? If you can't spot it from a galloping horse, can't spot it from a galloping horse.
I'm pretty sure that one of my Midwestern grandmothers said that to me. So yeah.
Really? So this is like one of those timeless, ageless sayings, Robbie.
Well, we were hillbillies. Literal.
Were you Billies on a hill?
We didn't make it past the mountains in Tennessee for quite a long time. Off the boat into Appalachia.
Oh man. Oh, what a great way to intro this episode. As you guys can see, if you have been following along lately, that we have Julie and Amy back with us again to have another conversation between men and women. Before we get to what the topic is, let's just say hi to everyone and see how everyone's doing today. We didn't spend too long in the pre-recording room or the makeup room. Like, I did my face.
Looks pretty.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Thank you. Your kindness is showing through today. Even after the flaring up your central nervous system because of the box
scaring
of plates.
myself.
Yeah. That's great. So how are you today, Amy? How are you?
I'm doing all right today. I'm doing all right. I did this in Amy fashion. I procrastinated up until about 10 minutes ago. Now I'm here and I'm like, I don't even know what we're talking about, but I'm ready.
It's good. No, you sent me a message. You're like, are we still doing this thing? And I was like, yes. And you didn't ask for any more details, so I didn't give them to you.
Sometimes I like spontaneity.
Yeah, well, you're getting it today.
Spontaneous conversations are the best conversations.
Yeah, that's true.
Agreed.
Yeah, we don't need to prepare for this one. It's good. It's good. This is Julie's topic. She was the one who brought it up while we were on a drive. She's like, you know what we should talk about next? No, I don't. And then she told me, which worked out good. Julie, how are you? How are you? I think it's important. I think maybe that's how we should start out every episode. I didn't even let her talk. Wow, I'm such a turd. Go.
Ask the question and keep on going.
Yeah, I know. What the hell? I'm a horrible host today.
Do you want me to answer honestly, like how am I, or do you want me to be like, I'm so good, thanks for having me, Steve?
I don't want the bullshit answer. Because I know the truth. No, seriously, be honest.
No, overall, I'm pretty good. I have had a very high stress day, so my nervous system has been cranking. It's like the jump scare thing where your heart starts racing. And I've been waiting for an email that I've been dreading all day long. So every time an email comes in, it's like another jump scare. And so that's been my whole day. It's been, I'm just like, I'm a little twitchy, but I'm mostly good. And I'm really happy to be here. It's nice to hang out with you guys. It's like hanging out with, old friends. And yeah, so that's my true answer to your question. I'm a little bit twitchy, but I'm coming down.
That's good. Hopefully a cool conversation like this will calm the heart down and loosen you up a little bit. And I don't know, just kind of hit the relax button. It's always good. You and I have had enough of these conversations with a bunch of other people that normally by the time you're done, you're like, you know what, that was a hell of a worth that hour. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing how you are doing. Robbie, how are you really? I think it's a good way to open episodes.
I agree. I'm a little scatterbrained right now. My got home and had to fix some stuff that, pipe was leaking and leaked all over the toilet paper. And my daughter was upset that we didn't have no toilet paper. So
You're out of tickets?
we have a couple of rolls.
You got a couple rolls? Okay. Well,
yeah, we got
that's
a couple,
good.
a couple of rolls of tickets left. So
it's hilarious when you tell your kids that they're tickets and they argue with you until they just call them tickets.
I've never heard them
Never
called
heard that.
tickets.
Yeah.
I had never heard that either. So I think that's a Steve thing.
My uncle
Canadian.
once said, he was like, make sure you bring the shit tickets. And I think we were going on the boat or something like that. And it was one of those things that I never forgot. And I just called them tickets now because that's that you rip them. They're tickets. I don't know how else they are.
So I was always, our family was like, did you bring the catalog with you?
Really?
The Sears Robot catalog, because that's what they used to use to wipe their butt, was the Sears catalog book.
It was thick.
Amazing.
Wow, that's cool.
We're all old enough to remember that they were actual things.
Right?
Right?
I got some good ones with that. I remember as a, adolescent boy when those would come and, we'd all get it and go flip to the underwear section.
Yep, absolutely. Been there, done that.
I know I'm not alone, but it's just
Nope.
like, I'm sure the girls did the same thing. That is maybe
And then
answer or
circled
not.
toys. Circling the
Oh.
toys was the important
I
part.
circled the toys.
Did you
Yeah.
go to the men's underwear section?
No.
You're so
That's
bullshit.
not a thing I did.
Come
I
on.
didn't do it
I'm
either.
like, I'm not lying. I would totally own it if it was.
I know you would too.
I had
It's just a
older
guy
brothers.
thing.
I had older brothers. I found other things. I was like,
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
so I
You
was
found
over
the
the
real-
over the
The real,
catalog
the
by
real
then.
stuff. Yeah. the real
yeah.
stuff.
We're gonna have an upcoming episode that's gonna be about the real things and how that
Oh.
affects relationships. So
Hmm.
really looking forward to that one. Hopefully we record that one next weekend. That's I got my fingers crossed with that one. We can make some schedules align and whatnot. But I guess I should answer the question that I've
Yeah, I was
asked
going
you
to say,
guys.
Steve, you're up, and you had something big going on this morning.
Yeah, I had the job interview this morning that went really, really well. I'm super excited. I'm going to find out tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, so these guys are acting fairly quickly, and so I'm going to find out tomorrow. And they're like, "You probably want to start really soon too." And I was like, "That would be cool." I'm already a couple weeks late starting the internship that I thought I had. So I've had there's a couple irons in the fire, and this one kind of come out of nowhere, and just jumped all over it, and it happened really quickly. I got the phone call on Tuesday. I got the phone call yesterday, and we made the plans today. So,
Wow.
and I found out about it on Monday. So it's moving good. It's moving quickly. I was super excited this morning. I'm still, right now, I'm like Julie. I'm kind of jumpy with my phone because I'm like, maybe he's gonna call me today. He said he was gonna call me tomorrow. Like, just get over
But
it.
you never know, right?
Right.
Always
And-
good to manufacture the anxiety.
Yeah, no.
Just in case you
Yes,
didn't have enough.
100%.
If you can't make the damn phone any more important than it already is, why don't you just do that, Steve?
That could be a T-shirt. Manufacture the anxiety.
Manufacture it. I mean,
Yes.
yes. That could be a whole episode on its own.
They could.
Manufacturing your own anxiety. I think it's manufactured anyway.
Mm,
Oh, totally.
Anyway.
for sure.
Anyways,
Some of us are just better at making more.
This is true.
If we
the
got
gift
paid
that
for
keeps
it.
on giving.
I am a very efficient anxiety manufacturer.
No, me too.
This is true.
Yeah.
Uh,
Steve is like, yes, you are.
coming from experience, I can be pretty good at doing it too. It takes one to know one there. So
Mhm.
I know one. I
Yeah.
met him.
100%.
I'm sitting with him right now.
Is it like all four of us?
Yeah. Oh, so good, so good, so good. Okay. Other than that, yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good. Looking forward to a weekend camping trip. So there's that. Other than that, how about we just like do this diving in part? Let's dive right in. Let's surprise Amy. We still have her name. I don't think anybody can see that it's Amy May, the loud one, but I can. So she got that from the last episode, and she's still going to retain that title.
On the live stream, they can see it.
Can they?
They can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We have to wait
All
until you and I earn one, Julie.
I know. I was going to say it's like a trail name. I want a trail name.
I know. It's now. Amy, we can't hear Amy.
Did you hit?
What about now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. The loud one was silent. You could be Crazy Pony.
The loud one was silent. That's weird. Are you okay? Do you need medication? Do you need a prescription? Do you need some help?
Yeah, no, I'll worry about it in a little bit.
All right.
And Robbie, we can't tell when you seem so calm, but you're that calm one that underneath you're like, oh, huh, I bet.
Oh,
yeah.
Crawling out of my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't see it.
I can vouch for that.
So Julie, we're just gonna have to wait to earn our nicknames, much like we would earn them on the trail. We're gonna earn them on this podcast.
I'm down.
Today
I accept the challenge.
Excellent.
All right.
I knew you'd be up for it. Okay, so the topic for today is going to be, what does emotional support look like from a man's perspective to a woman? So what would emotional support look like from me if I was asking you to support me, Julie and Amy? And then the other way around. If I was to ask you ladies, did I say that? If you ladies were to ask us for emotional support, what would that look like for you?
Can I throw out like my preface to this, since I was the one that brought up the topic, and explain why I think this is important?
Yeah, you sure can.
Is that allowed? Okay. So what I notice a lot of, I talk to lots of people just about emotional intelligence and developing relationships and all of that. And you hear a lot, like, the woman might say, I was just telling my husband about this thing that happened, and it was big, it was upsetting, she's having a hard time emotionally. She's like, and he just turns around and starts lecturing me and telling me what to do. And so she feels completely unsupported. She gets mad at him. He's like, I thought I was helping. And so there's this disconnect because he thinks he's showing up in the way that's most helpful for her, and that's not what she needs. But then the interesting part is, if I ask that woman, what is it that you need? What does emotional support look like? Most of the time she has no idea. Like, she's never thought about what it does like. She just knows that when her husband starts trying to fix her problems, that she feels unheard and kind of like dismissed, and like she's supposed to stop, talking about it. So I think it's really important for us to know what emotional support looks like for us. And obviously it's different depending on your situation, like what you're going through at the time. But if the woman in this, in this theoretical situation could just turn to her husband and say, what I really need is just a hug and somebody to listen. I don't need you to try to fix it. But we're not always good at communicating what it is that we're needing either. So that's why I think it's important, because it creates this weird disconnect that if we could learn what we need, learn how to communicate it, and learn to provide it, we'd like rock some relationships, like friendships, romantic, whatever, if we could show up in the ways that's most effective. So anyway, that has been churning through my brain lately, which is why I suggested that as a topic.
And I mean, it's a fantastic place this one spot. It's a fantastic place that would lead to more connection, which I feel like we're all generally pretty lacking. We would like more connection, and it's hard to know what that looks like right now. And then if we look at it the other way, and he's trying to fix it and he's trying to do the thing that he thinks is the right thing to do, this is how I'm going to fix the problem, and then the problem goes away. Our logical brain thinks, you have problem, I fix problem, issue gone, right? Like that's we're not that complicated. Keep it easy, keep it simple, and we're good.
Well, and there's also the piece in there where it's really uncomfortable to sit with somebody who's really emotionally struggling, right? It doesn't feel good for us either. We're empathetic humans. We know they're in pain, so it's hard for us to sit in that pain too. We've talked about that before here. So I think there's also that, like, if I can fix you, then I'll feel better too, and then we'll all be better, right?
I think that's the next level. Beyond that, right? Like the next level is the feeling that I'm getting when my wife or my friend or whoever, someone's close to me, is distraught, and I'm uncomfortable because they're distraught. So then my fix-it reflex shows up, and then I try and fix that to remove the discomfort of just sitting with someone who's distraught.
Yeah, then we totally lose the communication and the connection at the same time, because we're trying to fix it and they're like, no, just listen. Or they might not be able to say just listen because they don't know what's going on either. But when you were saying that, Julie, I was thinking this is a very interesting topic, because in my mind, there has to be some communication before you can even get there. About like, if I'm really struggling and I need some help, because as Steve was saying, we're just going to try to fix it right off the bat. We're just going to throw 100% selves in there and try to fix the problem. We're going to lose a lot of empathy in there and everything else, because we're just uncomfortable with the problem. And I was just thinking, like, that communication before, like, hey, if I'm really upset and I'm having a hard time, this is the way to help me. This is some guiding steps. Because if either side doesn't know, that might not help. It could be like, really harmful for the conversation or the relationship, or it could be beneficial, but without knowing how to help that other person or whatever space they need is really could be really awkward.
Julie had a good point. I'm sitting here and trying to think about this topic, and it's like I'm having to look at two of me. I'm having to look at me before almost 20 months of trauma therapy, and I'm looking at me now going, what would I need now? And the honest truth is that I've not had very many people try to fix things. I was the fixer. But I was trying to think about when that would happen and what that would look like. It would look like, I'll pick up this task so you don't also have to do this task. Which actually left a void for intimacy and vulnerability and what I really needed. Great, the dishes got done. That's cool. But I was missing points in there. I needed someone to go, I may not understand what you're feeling. I've never lost a parent or blah, blah, blah. But how can I, maybe asking me, how can you help? Because I don't think we know half the time.
Yeah.
Once I'm to that emotional place, if I knew what was going to fix it, I would have fixed it. So I'm sitting there going, I don't know. But I know for me personally, if someone, because all we all want, men and women, is to be seen, to be heard, and to be recognized. And I feel like that was a huge gap in my life and in most of my relationships. If I was painful, I was, like we talked about being uncomfortable, right? Like I had to really work this last year when people were painful around me, that I could just sit with them, not want to fix them, because I always wanted to fix uncomfortable because that made me feel safer. And it's one of those selfish, subconscious things that we do. It's kind of like, this is how you comfort, but it's really not. Letting someone sit and seeing their grief and all those things, that's comfort. and knowing I don't have to change myself or limit my emotionality because I'm making you uncomfortable. And I was guilty of that too. I didn't feel like I had the right to do that. So I would also shove things down in me, and then I would be resentful later. But I didn't give anybody an opportunity to help me because I didn't know what I needed either.
Mhm.
So I think now me, someone going, hey, I see that your day was pretty rough. I get that. Is there anything I can help you do? Right. But then you also, y'all, that's dangerous because we're like, why hadn't you already thought about it? And when we're already heightened emotionally, like,
Yeah.
why aren't you my mind reader right now? Why, after all these years, do I have to ask you or you have to ask me? Right. Um, but I think that hits on a good point. What you said to Robbie was that this starts before the crisis. It starts before the crisis.
Mhm.
And I think most people try to live their life in such a way and in their relationships that we don't want crisis. So we start all these shortcuts with who we really are and our authenticity because we don't want to be too much. We don't want to be a burden. So what I didn't know and what I know now, all of that can be built from the beginning. We have to be trusting to let people see those not so shiny parts of us. None of us are amazing when we're mad or really sad, but we perform even in uncomfortability and emotional distress. I performed. I could say I did because I didn't know how to not be a burden.
So you brought up something that I'm going to latch onto. And that was we've been together, you've known me for this long, how come you don't know what to do kind of thing. And then so you bring up that question, what is it? How can I support you right now? And I think that is literally someone that, if that was to come out of my mouth, I can't speak for everyone, but if that was to come out of my mouth, that is me being willing to do whatever it is. And this is kindness. It's coming from a place of openness and curiosity with a sense of, if you can let me know what that is, it'll come from two places. It'll come from, okay, if I don't know what that is, I'm going to experience one thing that's uncomfortable, and that's going to be helplessness.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to know what to do. But it's also giving you an opportunity to be heard. And if we don't take that and we just assume that somebody is supposed to know, then we're handing over the emotional responsibility to somebody else. And that is absolutely unfair to the other person, because it's up to you, it's up to me to share what it is I need. It is not up to you to guess what my needs are, even though we've gone through this repetition multiple times. I don't get to hold that against you this time because I'm too scared to ask for it. And and so, like, I'm latching onto that because I think both sides do this. You should know, and that to me is handing over emotional responsibility, and it's a great way to damage a relationship. A fantastic way to create resentment between two parties.
So I learned something about myself. That's why I was like, me then or me now?
Yeah.
So something about me is the way I grew up. I tried to control everything subconsciously. So I would fix things for people. I would take all accountability, all the shame, all the guilt, so I could wrap it up. And I could be like, okay, this is contained. I can make everybody happy now. But I did not realize until recently that I lived through emotional outsourcing. And that's what you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
It is making you, Steve, responsible for how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a whole lot of self-regulation, and that makes sense because I really didn't have any self-regulation skills other than fix it and be in control. But we almost get resentful of people if they don't know how to make us feel better. But you're absolutely right. It's emotional outsourcing, and we are responsible for regulating ourselves.
Yeah, society right now is has been for a while, and I think we're coming back from it a little bit. We're pulling back from it, but society right now is very much encouraged everyone else to be emotionally responsible for everyone else, and we have not encouraged whatsoever your own personal emotional regulation. Accountability pisses people off so bad right now; it's ridiculous, and like it just does, and that's important. And learning how to be accountable for the way I feel and then not making other people responsible for it and then figuring out what it is I need in that moment, that's difficult. It takes a hell of a lot of practice. And when we have this conversation, I sat down a little bit before this episode and I was like, what do these emotional needs look like for you? And the first things that came up were things that they weren't. And like what does not meet my emotional needs, because it's way easier to write down that list than it is to write down the list, because I've got so much experience of how they weren't met. It's really easy list. But Julie, you said this, right? Like you figure out what that is inside of me that I do need is difficult. Like I very much, if you're going to look at emotional needs, I think touch is important. Like it's not a lot, but touch is important. That to me, I think is like an emotional need because it feels good. I feel like, like if you were to come by, Amy or Julie, come by and like touch me on the shoulder, and like that's like a loving touch. Like I appreciate your presence in this room. I love that you're here right now, and just that alone, a little rub of the hand or the arm, like it's that feels like it gives me a sense of appreciation and that you want me here. And I like it's super small, but I think that's one of those things that I enjoy and I appreciate. The other one is thank yous. And when I started writing this down, I was like, I sound like a dog. But like thank yous, praise, like if I'm working my butt off and you come and say, you know what, you've worked your butt off, you've done excellent, that looks great, even if it looks like shit, right? Like as long as I've made progress, acknowledge.
Just lie to me.
It's not even that. It's just the acknowledgement of progress.
I'm just using.
I know,
Yeah.
right? I don't care if it looks like shit, honey. I don't care. Just tell me I'm doing great.
And, you're talking about touch, right? That's basic human need. And
I think we forget what it means, though.
I don't forget because it is my love language. I'm telling y'all what, 17 months of volunteering to be celibate and not dating for me, who is physical touched, I have learned a lot about myself. I also learned that in my last relationship, we bypassed everything with touch. Everything was touch. Yeah. Nothing was discussed. There was no verbal vulnerability.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Even obviously he was at the end, it wasn't good or whatever, but we touched all the time. Okay. So, but I hear what you're saying. If I'm able to go, babe, I don't have all the answers, but I can touch your shoulder and say, but I'll be here, or sit down and we can just be in the moment together. That sounds beautiful, but it doesn't happen like that unless the two people are making a concerted effort to practice these things for each other. And I just started to think too, we talk about this, right? That we're losing critical thinking. We're not even letting our kids regulate. We got to keep them happy immediately if they're unhappy. So we're just being raised with no emotional regulation. Now, I don't recommend the kind I had where I had no idea how to regulate myself and no one was helping me. But I think I did a pretty good job with my kid because I would be like, it's okay to feel those things, blah, blah, blah. I tried to give that. But it's a literacy. And we're not literate. In mass, we're not literate.
It's a literacy that comes from experience.
Yeah.
I
think that's a big. No, sorry.
No, go ahead, Julie. No, go.
I was going to say, I think that's a big part of it is a lot of times, if you're operating in a place of like a, lower emotional awareness, you just dump whoever's willing to listen, you just dump it all, everything you're feeling, thinking, blah, whatever. Um, and it's like like Amy was saying, you're outsourcing that. You're expecting them to fix that for you. Once you can take away that expectation, then it becomes like, before I reach out and talk to you about this struggle that I'm having, it's really important to stop and be like, what do I actually need from this conversation? What do I need from this interaction? Um, so there's one time in particular that stands out to me. Like, I was on this call and it went kind of poorly, and I got off the call and I felt kind of like an incompetent idiot. And so I called Steve and I was like, okay, I just like feel like I made a complete fool of myself and I'm feeling really insecure right now. So what I need is for you to listen to everything that just happened and then help me talk me through this and remind me why I'm actually good enough. And so like I was able to say, this is how I'm feeling. I'm super insecure right now. I'm really embarrassed. What I'm needing from you is to remind me, like at that moment, I needed a cheerleader. I needed somebody who was like, Julie, I see your worth. I know what you're capable of. We all make mistakes. Like, that's what I needed at that moment. And I could put words to that before the conversation. And it didn't fix it. It didn't make everything go away, but I got a little bit of what I needed. And I think it's really helpful to know, like, do you need a cheerleader? Do you just need an ear and somebody to hug you or put a hand on your shoulder? Or, sometimes it's okay to say, I need a problem solver right now because I'm stuck in a spiral and I can't get out of it. So can you sit down and then you're even asking them, like, let's actually talk about some solutions here. But it's just so helpful if you can take a step back before you word vomit all over someone and kind of know what it is that you're looking for, so you can kind of tell them, and it'll be messy. It's not perfect, right? But there's so much value in that. And it takes so much practice too. You can think you know what you need, and you can walk into the conversation and even be like, hey, I really need a problem solver. And then partway through, you're like, that is not what I needed. Nope, thanks for trying. Let's try this instead. And if you're in any kind of relationship where you're willing to experiment, then so much good comes of that. And you learn how to show up for the other person, even if it's messy.
Even if it's messy. I mean, honestly, not too long ago, I sent Steve something on Telegram and I was like, then I was like, hey, I totally emotionally dumped on you. How are you doing? I'm so sorry. Because we always have like sometimes sideways conversations going and it's just thought food. But then I was like, oh, I just totally like, hey, I hadn't talked to you in like 7 days. I didn't even say that. I just said, Steve, blah, 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 you know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, that wasn't cool. That was one-sided. Because like, what if he'd had a shitty day? I didn't even take it into consideration at first, right? So I think it's very normal for us too, and this is where that literacy comes in. It is normal for us when we are in an emotional space that it feels like crisis, and to understand that that's probably where the other person is. But it's important for us when we're not in crisis to go, hey, I might have could have handled that a little bit better, gave you at least a heads up that this was coming.
That comes with experience. I'm going to drop this one and then I'm going to ask Robbie what his thoughts are, because he sat there quietly
Analyzing.
And I know when Robbie sits there quiet long enough that his brain's churned and he's got something important to say, and I want to hear it. But there was a thing that I read and I thought it was really cool. It was a study that was done. And what the results were, and I think the question was something along the lines of, what is one sentence, one quick thing that holds really like a lot of value for a man and a lot of value for a woman, but they mean the same thing and they feel the same thing. And for a woman, it was when a man says, I love you. And for a man, from a woman, it was when she says, thank you.
Mm.
And so when a man says to his woman, I love you, it has the same effect of when a woman says to a man, thank you. And I thought that was a really neat way that they put that together to show you how we perceive and how we absorb things and what that means to us, right? Like that shows that when you say thank you, that shows respect, that shows that you liked what I've done, that shows you that says to me that I've provided to you the things that I wanted to provide to you, and that stuff is super important to me. And I think that's just important to men. Anyways, go ahead.
What you're talking about really quick, I think it comes from the book Love and Respect, which is an awesome book about relationships and men and women and how we like exist in relationships together. But the whole purpose, like the whole premise of the book Love and Respect, is that women need to feel loved and men need to feel respected. And for those, if those two basic core needs are met, then there's probably a lot of hope for that relationship. So I think that's what you're referring to is the study that was done in that book.
Yep, you're likely entirely right. I didn't know where it was from. I just
it's worth reading.
Saw it and I thought, wow, I can get behind that. I could get behind that. Just how I felt when I heard that.
Yeah.
Robbie, I'm handing this sucker over to you because I want to hear what's been churning around in there. That ice cream maker of yours upstairs. What's going on?
It's churning. There's lots of interesting stuff that I was, taking in, listening to the different sides of what, women want and what men need and vice versa. 3 years ago was totally different in my life and I didn't know how to think about any of this. And now I have the emotional freedom to think about this stuff, and it's amazing, and I'm grateful, and it's a blessing to be able to change and do this now. But I haven't been in a relationship for a while, and I can talk about all my past relationships and, listening to Julie and Amy talk, like a lot of my past relationships were great with touch and love and respect in the beginning. Then as soon as some resentment built, it was over with. Like a lot of times I could, name the day and what was said to me that broke the camel's back. Just no more. I couldn't handle no more. And it was always some kind of resentment that I wasn't doing something, or they, and for me, it was that they weren't doing something for me. Now, moving forward, when we're talking about how we can be, emotionally there for each other, I was like, what do I need, for that? And, I can think about my daughter, friends, because they're a big part of my life now, the relationships with them. It's like, first is space. And Amy, you were talking about the word vomit. I'm great at word vomiting too, but I need to do that a lot of times too. And I don't do it on purpose, but like you said, you did that to Steve, and I've done that to Steve many times. But then you get something beneficial back because they're like, did you just listen to yourself? Did you just read what you said? You're like, no, I'm in such a bad place that I can't. Like, we've all been there, right? We get in such a bad place that we can't make a straight line from anything. And it's really exciting to think about this and how to move forward in life now, and just be able to have, it's going to be tough. And Julie, you were kind of talking about, it's going to be different for every situation. But I've never been willing to sit down and have a conversation with anyone like, hey, if I'm feeling like this is what I need from you. Who does that? Really, who does that? This is a new concept to me.
Emotionally functional people.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Weirdo.
But then yeah, you're right. It's like, well, sit down. But it's kind of exciting. It's really exciting to me to take this and move with it, because I feel like I've had another one of those door opening moments in my life where this door is open and it's going to lead to a lot of other things, because my emotions are there. I know how to put, definitions to them now and all that stuff, but it's going to be hard, because I'm going to use this with my daughter, because I think we'll both benefit from this, because we're both not there for each other emotionally, because we don't know how to be. And listening to Amy and Julie talk, I'm like, shit, what the fuck have I done? Like, this is so simple. Let's just sit down and have an honest conversation before we go into crisis mode. Like with the guy, it's kind of easy because we'll make fun of each other or whatever, Then finally, like, this is what's going on. With, women, it's a little different. It's like you can't be talking shit and think that you're going to get something from it.
It can happen. It just has to be done perfectly.
Tact.
And I guess it depends on I guess if you've already have had these conversations and then you can probably talk shit and be like, whatever, right? But this is really eye-opening because men and women both need to do this. And it goes much farther than spouses, kids, family. Like, I think about this with some coworkers. Like, this is a great way to set up boundaries. Like, have this conversation. Like, hey, I don't like when you talk to me like this. This is why. If they can't have that's a boundary, right? And we know about boundaries, but we set boundaries, then we can't talk to them a lot of times because we're just like, no, this is what I don't like. I know the three of us can do this because we've done it before, but I'm just saying, like, when you set up boundaries, especially with family members, it's an instant attack on them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some emotion behind that, why we have to do this. And there's some other things that, some habits and other things that could be associated with that too. But so my ice cream maker is just like so grateful for this conversation because it just like one of those light bulb moments, and it just this light bulb's not turning off for a while. Like it's gonna be on for a bit.
You made such a good point. I've had like literally a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks of conflict. Two people that I really care about, one person that I work with and I've worked with for many years, and they can be kind of difficult, but I can be too. Especially I'm a tone person. So I'm like, oh, we going there? Like, is this where we're going to be? And I have to really check that in myself because dang it, I'm not supposed to take anything personally. Right. And I follow some principles in my life that require me to go, hey, I didn't like the way I came at you. Hey, I got defensive because of blah, 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 blah. Because I only get one chance to do it right and to do it timely. So it's hard because most people, like, we're having this conversation, but we're like, who's having that? Right. This is how people learn to have it. And I think it's excellent with the kids, by the way. And you know what? When I got sober and it was just me and Garrett, I realized that I was not there for him either. We did not know how to be there for one another. So that started down the line. So it does get better. But I had no idea. And I didn't realize that I had never been emotionally vulnerable with my own child. So how is he supposed to be that way with me? Right. But I had to tell that I kind of got asked up yesterday, not me, but I was homesick, and I don't take passive aggressive well. I always joke I'm aggressive. And I just do not respond to it well, especially if it's written word and you're making an email around the world. So I had to pause. I had to practice that, and then I was thinking, well, maybe I need to go to that person and go, hey, maybe I was taking it the wrong way. Like, just call it out to have that conversation because there's boundaries there that need to happen, and how do you set those? How do you set those once that person tells you and you feel, number one, kind of ashamed that you didn't pick up on it. You've hurt the person. You're feeling responsible for that. But they're saying, I need this. And we're supposed to go, okay. And take it back, and like go process our emotions somewhere else. Right? Am I making sense?
Okay.
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to ask someone, do you have the capacity for this conversation? Do you have the capacity to hear me? Because, there are times that we don't. There's times that, like you said, Amy, like you dump on someone and then you're like, oh, wait, maybe they're having a bad day too. It is totally okay to ask the person, hey, I'm like super struggling right now. do you have the capacity to sit here and listen to me just vent for 20 minutes? Or, it's also okay to say, you know what? I love you and I care about you, but right now I don't have the capacity for this conversation because I'm carrying a lot. Can you come back tomorrow? Can you come back in a couple hours? And I think we have to respect that boundary in ourselves and in the other person. And it's hard to do because we're all taught to just show up and show up and show up and show up. And then we're taught to expect that of everybody around us too. And so nobody ever stops to think maybe now isn't the best time. Maybe, I need to turn to a different friend right now because this one is all full of their own stuff. And I think it's okay to just ask the question.
I think it's a good idea from man to woman in a relationship.
Oh yeah. I was also this is just me, but having to ask the question, are you available to sit down and talk? That is hard enough for me right then and there. Either I'm going to do it or I'm not. And probably 90% of the time, depending what's going on, I'm not going to do it. So I had to figure out how to do that. And like you were saying, Julie, if it's not the right time, it's not the right time. It's not on me. This person, it's both. It's both going through the same thing. But I know in my mind, I'm going to flip it around and go, well, what's your problem? But that's just all we have to work on and figure out those boundaries within us. And then to be like, okay, step back. We got to figure something else out on our own for the time being, or reach out to someone else. There's multiple different ways to go about it. But I would just keep thinking how hard it is, especially for men, to ask if this is the right time or any kind of help, just because of the world we live in these days. It's not okay for a man to ask for help.
Generally
and that's
speaking,
the woman in a relationship. So in a relationship, I think that is the woman's responsibility to make sure that man knows that he is always safe to at least ask for the help. And that is established over a long period of time, right? But I think that, because men generally are expected to not ask for help, I think that women need to maybe go above and beyond, really make it a point to let their man know that they are willing to be that space and that they want him to come to them. And we assume as women that if you need to talk, you're going to talk because God knows we do it, right? But I think that we need to have some compassion and empathy for you guys don't do that. And so we need to make sure that it's clear and make more of a point with the men in our lives than we have to with the women in our lives to say, hey, yeah, I really do want you to talk about what's going on.
What do you
do?
Sorry, Steve.
No, that's okay. I was going to say I'm going to piggyback on y'all talk a lot more, right? And that's just fact, statistic fact. And because of that, you have the language to express yourself. And if we're unpracticed, we don't have the language. It's not going to sound the same way coming out of my mouth as if it would have come out of yours. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that comes not taking it personally, because it might sound uglier coming out of my mouth than it's going to come out of Julie's mouth or Amy's mouth, because I'm trying to figure out how to express the thing that I'm feeling. And generally speaking, I'm not doing that. And so when I don't have the language for it, and this goes back to Julie saying, make sure that you create the space for your man to just, and it might be ugly and it might be about you, but what he wants when he's doing that is to improve on the relationship, on the thing that's on his mind and in his heart. And if it can be safe in that spot, and you can, and you have the willingness to literally sit in it, because I think I can speak for a lot of men here when I say we get vulnerable and then it turns into a stinky fish that gets slapped in our face. It gets used against us as a weapon. And you wonder why we shut down, and you wonder why we stop talking, and you wonder why that he's not showing up, and you wonder why you're disconnected, and then you wonder why you're not having sex, and then you wonder why you're sleeping in separate, and blah 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 blah. Like it goes down the line, right? And it's because you're not meeting each other in the one spot where you need to actually meet each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be vulnerable too. I know I do. Right? Like I appreciate that level of connection. I appreciate when I can go deep, and I appreciate when there's times where it's like, you know what? My heart's hurting right now. Can I share that with you? Right? And that goes a hell of a long way. It goes a hell of a long way.
Yeah.
And then you'll get more of that piece of me because I feel safe. And because it's not going to get used. And it's because it's not going to be like, do you remember that time? Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear some nagging woman tell me about the time that I was weak that one time. And that wasn't weakness. That was me showing you my heart and my strength.
Yeah. I often find if, and now this may not be in my relationships, but I'm around a lot of men a lot. And I have found that some resent softness when they're in an emotional space. Like pushing the tissues away. I mean, they're already sitting in their own shame, and because they feel shameful, you know. I don't consider myself an unsafe place for men, and I don't think I have really ever been a real unsafe place for men as far as you shared something with me and I throw it up at you later. But there is a responsibility for both parties.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, y'all are raised to shove down. You know, don't show it. That's weakness. Firm handshakes. You know, just all the stuff, right? So when you're able, that's what in my type of recovery, that is what I see men struggle with the most. Is because they feel freaking weak, that they couldn't beat something. We do too, but they feel this is the most common. What are these things? Those are emotions, honey. And we've not been feeling them for, it's hard on us too, but it's really hard on the guys. So I've kind of adopted a new thing to watch for, you know, like before I go, if they're handling their tears on their own, I won't offer a napkin or a box of tissues, because that, for some reason, I see that more often to be a calling more attention to their emotionality. So,
I don't even know if that's calling attention to it. He still wants to take care of it himself.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes up to me is don't give me a tissue. I'll use my shirt.
Right.
I'll be fine.
My snot's hanging out.
Right?
But don't do that.
I'll take care of it myself. Right? Like, let me ask for it. I get it. That's just that is the internal toughness part. Like, I don't care if my shirt's wet. I don't care if it's got snot and boogers on it. That's my snot. That's my boogers. That's my tears. I'll take care of those. Don't catch those things. They're mine to catch.
No, you're good. You're good.
I
will let you snot on down your shirt, whatever you
though.
need. Yeah, but I do watch them struggle in that. And, you know, and just from what I've heard in past relationships, like, a man's not supposed to feel this way. You know? I mean, y'all honestly carry so much of that into your day to day. Even my kid, who was raised with me about feel your feelings, he's still not out there trying to raw dog his feelings with other gentlemen. No. You know what I mean? He's not like so spiritually woke, some spiritual giant. You know, he still has his own things. So with this conversation about knowing what we need, these conversations need to happen so people start to think about it. When you first asked the question, I was like, I couldn't tell you what I need in the moment.
Yeah.
Me too.
And it may change. And you made a good point. I don't care if I've been with you for 20 years. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to grow, and your needs can change. We can't start judging each other as men and women. Like, you've known me this long, you should just know me. God, I hope I always change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's growth and change. If there's no, if they say that and it's true. There's no growth there, right? That means it's just stagnant. That's a bad place to be in my book, anyways, especially in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I saw this thing on Instagram. I'm going to share it with you guys. And Amy, I think you actually saw this in my stories and commented on it. But I think it's super valuable. Men need to sit with men who have a healed perspective of women. Let me read this again because I butchered it. Men need to sit. Oh, good night from the Barbados. Awesome. Thank you for watching again. Men need to sit with men who have healed perspective of women. And women need to surround themselves with women who have a healed perspectives of men. The conversations are different. The energy is different. The love, appreciation, and respect are different. And I think I've said this before until I heard Teal Swan say this, and we talked about this on Monday night too. But the opposite is healing. And when we sit with men that have a healed, healthy perspective of women, we start to learn as men what that can look like in our lives. And I think the same goes for women. And then when I get a chance to sit down with women and have conversations with healthy, emotionally intelligent women that are willing to listen, that are willing to sit there and show up, that also heals my perspective from my experiences that weren't good, from my unhealthy perspective, because then I get feedback and then I'm willing to listen. And damn, does that ever help me out a ton? Because then I get to show up in a much better, healthier way, not just in this space, but I can show up in a space with somebody who could use a healthy perspective, and somebody who's okay in their own space, and somebody who's willing to ask those questions and sit in okay, yes, you're offended by me right now. That's okay. We're still good. I know I'm not going to take that personally. And I think that overall perspective, just a healthy person talking to a healthy person, sharing those things, the ripple effect of healthy men being together is a wonderful thing. And I don't even really know what that looks like. I'm just starting to experience this myself, and it feels really cool. And sitting in rooms with really healthy, emotionally intelligent women feels really freaking cool, because we can invite two women on to have a podcast like this and talk about stuff like, stop nagging me, because that is not going to do me any good. And y'all aren't going to get all offended and
stop
stuff
trying
like
to fix all my problems.
Stop trying to see, but like, I'm not going to get my back up. I'm going to sit here and listen. And that's so good for everyone's like overall health.
Yeah. I'm going to give you guys accolades really quick. I tell people all the time, I don't really stay jaded. I really don't. I'm pretty open-minded, but I am now surrounded by healthy masculines. And that's y'all too. In that. And that has carried over into my male friendships as well. Guess what? They're healthy. The ones that weren't in alignment anymore, they're not there. And so I'm very thankful for y'all to be able to talk about stuff. And like you said, we're not over here trying to have a fight or a war about it. We're trying to listen to one another. It's what we don't have enough of.
Yeah.
I can say for me, like having conversations with women's always been really hard, because there was always a lot of times when I was younger used against me. My first long-term girlfriend, anytime I showed any vulnerability, it was used against me, and every single every single argument, and she'd just keep stacking it up to the point where I would just not talk. Then, I would allow that to happen in other relationships too. Then, I got to the point where I just shut down. Then I, just wouldn't say anything, wouldn't even have conversations. And now sitting with, women that will have those conversations and not use it against me, and I won't use it against them, and just be able to have open conversation. It's so rare these days. It is really like changed my view on a lot of things that I would just get so close-minded and, oh, these type of people are this way and this is this way. And now it's like I'm reopening that, reopening it and be like, oh, everyone is different and has their things. But one thing I've learned too is that I'm very cautious around the ones that I can sense that aren't able to have that conversation with me. I'm still friendly and will still be there and, be empathize with them or whatever, but I know not to open too much about myself. For one, it's, a boundary for me, it's protection for me. And I'm not going to get anything out of it. That may sound really bad, but we're talking about stuff going both ways, and we both need to receive and get something out of these conversations, or just friendship, relationships, whatever it is. And I can't have one-sided relationships in my life anymore. I did that with myself for 30 plus years. And that's what got me to where it did. Now I'm changing this, and it's like learning emotions, and like I never learned emotions because I was told not to have any emotions when I was a kid and all that other stuff. But it's like, oh, it's so overwhelming sometimes when I feel this, and I can't always put words to it, but I can, I can speak it out and talk it out, but I can't like write it out. So that's just something when you were saying, Steve, like, it's like a big, huge breath of fresh air. It's like, and especially when you're around people that you can be vulnerable with, it is, I don't even,
it's
like,
freeing,
I don't have
man.
words for it.
It's freeing.
Yeah,
It's absolutely freeing. Like I don't have to, I can sit with these two ladies, and I don't have to be anything. I don't have to even feel like I have to be something that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
there is so much an internal peace when I get to sit down and not have to worry about what I'm saying. I'm a goofball at heart. I'm just like, I'm a goof. And it's just one of the ways. What's that? Julie?
I said, oh, we know. No judgment, Steve. No judgment.
It just doesn't matter. It's fine. I know.
There's gonna be a conversation about that later.
That's true. Oh man, but yeah, like it's fun to just be able to let loose. I had a friend, and Robbie, I'll finish this story, but Axe is still sitting here watching, and you were talking about the not being vulnerable and stuff like that. And he said, was that from childhood, feeling unsafe to be vulnerable?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Anyways, he's here commenting, and I thought,
oh yeah,
might as well let him have the space. So, where was I going to go with this? The goofball. Yes.
Julie's going to get you later.
Yeah. Okay. And the freedom that you're talking about, Robbie, is you get to sit in your authentic self. And the more I get to sit in this space, the more comfortable I get in it, and the less fear I have to go bring that into another space, even though it's full of unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And I said this the other day, whereas like I've got my little bubble of people where I feel incredibly safe with, and now I'm venturing outside of this bubble, because I've created this really amazing bubble of people, but I want to go and venture outside of that bubble of safety now, and see what everything else is like, because I don't I can come home now, and if I had a shit day, I can just say to someone, you know what, today fucking sucked. And I can get it all off of my chest. And that's just where it's going to be. It's going to be get it all off my chest. And it's not going to, nothing else is going to be created from it. There's not going to be resentment created from it. It's not going to turn into an issue next week because I didn't take care of something today. Like, the compounding effect of that is I don't carry any of the emotional weight anymore because I don't have to fear any sort of outside repercussion because we didn't have the courage to have the conversation in the moment or after. You know what? I forgot this and I felt like shit this day. And you said something that was really insulting. Did you mean that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it came across the wrong way. Like, Julie, we've done this before, right? We come back and it's like, wow, that was sassy. That kind of hurt my feelings. Oh shit, that's not what I meant. Okay, impact versus intent. Really cool. But at least you have the courage to bring it up and say, hey, this is what happened and this is how it felt. Can we work on like making sure we're maybe a little bit, I don't want you to be emotionally responsible. I'm still going to take responsibility for the way I feel, right? I can't make you responsible for my triggers. I still need to deal with those, but it doesn't mean we can't have a conversation about what we can do about it. And there's so much freedom in that. I went on a way bigger rant than I thought I was going to go on, but it feels light, man. It feels light.
I think it's important also to recognize that if you have people in your life that know how to show up for you emotionally, if you have built around you either a relationship or a friend group, or even with your family, your husband, your kids, your parents, wherever that is for you, if you can build up a few people that you guys know how to show up for each other emotionally, like you put in the practice, you've put in the work, you've done all the experimenting, you know how to express your needs, that gives you, like Steve was saying, that gives you the courage to go out and do more stuff. It gives you the courage to fail more often, or to face fear more often, or to take risks, or to do whatever it is, because you can go make yourself uncomfortable emotionally and you still know you're going to have the support that you need when you come home or when you make that phone call or whatever that is. And so it's not just about building a relationship that's healthy, but that impacts your entire life and the way you show up in your life. If you know that there are a few people in your corner that are going to hear you and see you and show up for you the way that you're needing to, like, it's massively impactful to be able to build that. And I say build that because it doesn't just happen. Like, everybody that wants to be involved in that space in my life, like, everybody's got to be willing to put in some work and figure out what that's going to look like for all of us. But it's life-changing.
I can vouch for that.
I agree.
That finding a space where I had emotional safety was the springboard for all the brave shit that I've done since. I almost guaranteed. Yes, that safety net. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's
100%.
If I land flat on my face, those people aren't going to think anything different of me, and it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling that I can't say I've ever had until like the last 4 years of my life. And I feel like I can do incredible things with my life, and there is a lot of that is because of that safety net. Not that I don't believe in myself, but people matter. Fuck, do people ever matter?
Yeah.
Go back to caveman rule. We didn't survive being alone.
Oh, I know.
We had something to fall back on. We had a clan to protect us. Yes.
We need each other more than ever.
Yep.
Humans need humans.
Conspecific communication and touch.
Yeah.
Does everybody else have any thoughts? We're at $1.10, $1.10, an hour and 10 minutes.
That was a great conversation.
Yes, it
It was good.
My mind's
That was really cool.
my
That was really eye-opening.
ice cream maker's still going, so I'm gonna have a hard time going to sleep tonight.
The
Robbie-
analytical, that one's not leaving. The ice cream maker.
Hey,
That
That
we
could be
need
my
you
new
need
trail
an
name.
It is.
there you go. And an after dark podcast. The ice as the churn turns.
Amazing.
Okay, Robbie's new name is now the ice cream maker.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, he is. He
Yeah.
he got his trail name.
He did.
I did it too. I love it.
You won.
Axe said he's looking forward to all
I have to
of
come
this.
back again because I don't have one yet.
That's okay. You'll have to. You just keep coming back, Julie. Just keep coming back. It's all right. Yeah, I really enjoy having you two ladies on and having this roundtable discussion about some of the differences between men and women and just the openness that you two bring to this table. And I really appreciate that, and I would love to continue doing this on a monthly basis, like once every 4 or 5 episodes, for us to have you two back on. And if you can think of a topic you'd love to drop in this circle, I'm open to ideas. I'm open to whatever it is. You think of something while you're driving or whatever you're doing, and you have some sort of revelation, you're like, I wonder what everyone's opinion on this is. Go for it. Let's launch that into, and we'll sit down and we can have a recording and share that, because I learn something from you guys every time we sit down. And I
Same.
think it makes me a better man when I hear you two speak about what's important to you. So
Absolutely. Right
Thank
back
you
at
for the
you.
chance to talk about it. It's great. Yeah.
mhm.
Yep.
O-
We appreciate
okay.
you guys. We love what you're doing.
We appreciate the support. So I'm going to say thank you to Axe, who has been here. I don't know if it's been the entire time, but he's commented a whole bunch. Watched this live. He watched the live yesterday too. And this is something that Robbie and I are going to do. Even if we record a bunch of episodes early, we'll record them, put them live, have them live. So you'll be able to watch these recordings as we do them. And then once we edit them and gussy them up a little bit, you'll be able to watch it later on. So there'll be 2 opportunities to watch every episode now. And one will be interactive like this. We'll figure out how we can get the word out a little bit more. And the other one will be, you'll be able to watch it at your own convenience. So thank you, Amy. And thank you, Julie. Really, really appreciate you two and the heart that you bring to this podcast when you guys show up. I want to say to the men out there, for me, it's Men's Mental Health Month every month of the year. Not just June. We're bringing attention to it here in June, but I think every month is an important month. Every day is an important day, and every conversation that we try and have is an important conversation. Being scared to reach out and suffering in silence is a thing that happens to men. We need to acknowledge that. This is what we do. It's how we're raised. It's kind of how we are biologically in certain senses. It's what we do. And so it doesn't mean that we can't talk about it, and it doesn't mean that we don't need safe spaces. We're allowed to cry. We're allowed to bitch. We're allowed to whine. We're allowed to want stuff. We're allowed to need a break. We're allowed to need all of those things. And a lot of those times we ignore them, and we ignore them until we start ignoring ourselves, and then we stop ignoring, and we start ignoring all of the things that we need, and then we begin to disappear. And we disappear, and we don't know what or who we are anymore. And I know this because that's from my own experience too. So if you're sitting there and you're suffering in silence, reach out. There are people out there that care. Strangers saved my life. I know that for a fact. And maybe you just need one. And it's better to reach out and try than to not reach out at all. So I want to say to every man out there that's struggling right now, I love you. You are loved. And you are important. even if you hear those words right now and they don't even hit, and you just wish that you could feel that way. Take care, and we'll see you guys next episode.